Before, during, and after solar eclipse, there's a sudden drop in metabolism, digestive fire, and vitality. In addition to a drop in these physical signs, many of us can experience a decrease in mental focus, mental processing, memory, decision-making, and struggle to set goals and solve problems. And energetically and emotionally, we might be already experiencing some emotions that are right up on the surface, and they can become really hard for all of us to keep it even, and also restraining yourself or withholding yourself from reacting to things, even the smallest things. So I wanted to go over this and much more in this video. My name is Masami Covey. I'm a health intuitive, functional nutritional therapist, and a moon enthusiast. I lead women in rediscovering the moon wisdom and living with the lunar cycles during and beyond menopause. If you're interested in lunar cycles, learning about moon wisdom, and how the moon impacts various organs, systems, hormones, and even fascia, please consider subscribing to this channel. So like maybe a live wire, you might be feeling already this kind of a buzzing emotions, and you might have noticed that you're easily triggered or even easily irritated or agitated and maybe easily overwhelmed and overstressed by small things that you can normally handle. Well, you are definitely in the influence of the solar eclipse and the total solar eclipse and the Mercury retrograde. So if you're feeling instability or starting to feel like some of your OCD tendencies starting to show up, and you are becoming more controlling because of the heightened fear of what's going to happen or anxiety, then this is definitely you're heading into the energetic fields of the solar eclipse. But in this video, I wanted to actually talk about how you can support your body and your physiology before, during, and after the solar eclipse. And during the solar eclipse, our pitta, meaning your digestive fire and an internal abilities to process things, so the fiery quality of metabolism and your abilities to process new information, your emotions can become a little challenging, leading to incomplete digestion in the body, but incomplete digestion of information as well. You can experience indigestion in the form of acid reflux or bloating and gas. And, some foods can actually begin to ferment in your body because when the solar eclipse happens, there's the moon energy that goes right in front of it to create the darkness. So your body actually gets quite confused and flips our metabolism upside down. So the fermentation can happen from carbohydrates. You can have proteins that can begin to putrefy in your body. Even the good fats that you're eating and consuming can go rancid. So this is the time that I recommend to all my clients and for you now on this video to do a little bit of an intermittent fasting to prepare your body prior to the solar eclipse and during the solar eclipse, and hopefully maybe change the way you are going to be consuming foods right after the solar eclipse as well. What I recommend is that you stop eating prior to the solar eclipse. And of course, please speak with your physicians and the health practitioners that you're working with. But if you don't have any blood sugar dysregulations or issues like that, then I recommend that at least 4 hours prior to the solar eclipse, you stop eating, especially foods that can be cooling to your system. So for breakfast, I do not recommend on the solar eclipse day to do things that are very cooling. And in fact, I don't recommend the following kind of breakfast for most people anyways, but particularly during the solar eclipse period, please avoid eating things that can be cooling yin foods, such as most fruits and a lot of dairy products like yogurt, cold milk products. And that can be almond milk, it could be soy milk, and it could be rice milk and oats milk and things like that too. But any form of milk can be really yin producing to your body. So I would avoid that. And also doing smoothies and things like that, that you're putting frozen berries in there with ice cubes and some other form of cooling kind of foods, that's not going to be supportive during the solar eclipse. And during the solar eclipse, I would actually avoid eating anything till the solar eclipse has completed. And if you can, after the solar eclipse, start with something that is warming to your system. So it could be some herbal teas, it could be something like a hot water with a pinch of salt. And when it comes to herbal teas, here are some of the teas that I do recommend. That's heating and warming to your body: ginger tea, cumin, coriander, fennel tea, cinnamon tea. These can be really good for reproducing the agni and supporting the internal digestive fire, but not chamomile tea or peppermint tea, mint-based teas, or flower tea, like a white flower tea. Those can be actually quite cooling to your system. Jasmine tea is actually cooling, also green tea as well. So I would avoid those teas and then would focus on more of a warming kind of a tea to start drinking that after your solar eclipse experience. So take a look at your local times so you are aware of when the solar eclipse is happening where you're at, even though you may not be able to see it or experience it fully. And another thing that can be quite yin and cooling to your system is a caffeinated drink. So I've mentioned green tea a little earlier, but also caffeinated drinks like coffee. So I would avoid that during the solar eclipse period as well as post solar eclipse. Couple more other things that I would recommend for the solar eclipse and preparing for that is, in addition to avoiding yin foods like most fruits are very yin, like I said, raw foods. So doing salads and other raw vegetables that can be quite cooling to your system. So if you're going to be eating vegetables, I would put them in the soup form and cook them and allow the heat to penetrate into the vegetables. And no leftovers. Please do not eat leftovers after the solar eclipse. So if you're going to be preparing some foods, finish that the night before and try not to reheat that as the leftover foods for the solar eclipse and the post solar eclipse. And instead of eating and reheating the leftovers, I would encourage you to have ingredients that are ready to go and you make yourself a really nice, fresh cooked home meal after solar eclipse. Because this will add the prana, this will add the fire back in. And that's exactly what we're looking for post solar eclipse, because your body went into this kind of a flipped mode. It went from yang to yin. And things like a fermented foods that if you can handle some of the fermented foods, I love the Japanese pickled plums called umeboshi. If you can handle that, you may want to go for that. Kimchi can be really good in terms of heating your body as well. And be sure to take plenty of salt, the good, beautiful salts that are not produced in a factory. And maybe choose the one kind of salt that you love, maybe muscle test yourself, but beautiful sea salts can be an amazing added heat to your body that will support your cardiovascular health as well as your tissue health. And then it can help your brain function much, much better. And during the solar eclipse period, so I would start doing these practices on Saturday and Sunday into Monday, and probably soon after the solar eclipse as well. So all throughout Monday is to avoid pitta lowering activities. So pitta, the Ayurvedic fire producing, heat producing dosha. I would love for you to fast from your consumption of news and social media during and little before and during and post solar eclipse. News is generally dark, cold, and dense and can dampen the inner fire of your own vitality. Instead, I would recommend that you do pitta warming exercises. So, particularly when it comes to physical exercises, doing things like squats, lunges, jumping jacks, jump ropes, anything to really heat up the large muscles right before the solar eclipse, so over the weekend, and maybe even the morning of the solar eclipse. And during the time, maybe you want to just take some time, but right after as well, to keep that heat going in your major muscles. This will help you to maintain good core body temperature and use things like hot water bottles to heat up your core muscles. Your obviously your core, but your glutes, also your thigh muscles. Those are the large conglomerates of the muscles that you want to keep warm. So if you can't exercise, using things like heating pads, like I said, hot water bottles, that can be really supportive of your own body. And two more things that you may want to do during the weekend, but also the morning of the solar eclipse, is to be exposed to the sunlight right at the forehead. And so the pineal gland will really appreciate that sunlight, and it's going to help you to sleep much, much better even after the solar eclipse if you can expose yourself to the morning sun. And light a candle or two to keep the light going. Keep the light from the inside going, but you're shining that light. You're sharing that light during the solar eclipse when the light goes to darkness. But in that darkness, you're holding that light up for yourself and for all of us. Have a very beautiful and safe and renewing solar eclipse experience. And for even for those of you that are not going to be watching a solar eclipse or unable to witness the solar eclipse, know that this is a cosmic level event that is happening that's impacting all of us on this earth. So incorporating some of these examples will be very, very helpful for you. So in summary, try to avoid eating at least 4 hours prior to the solar eclipse time. So check your local time when that's happening and give yourself some time to digest what you have consumed prior to that time. Avoid yin-based foods and look for things that can be warming to your system so you can keep your metabolism healthy and then keep going in terms of holding the light forward by lighting a couple of candles. I hope this is helpful for you, and I look forward to being with you soon again. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you enjoy these kind of videos, please take a moment and give me a thumbs up. Namaste.